Having one of something can be fine, but when you have too much of something in one place, that's when things can become up in the air.
The finance geek.
Now don't get me wrong, it's always a good idea to stock up, especially with money. Savings is always a good idea. You always want some cash available to you. You want the money in a savings account, and ideally a savings account that pays you the most. The money you accumulate from having it in the account is called interest. The reason you want it in a savings account is because it's easily accessible. In other accounts, such as an investment account, for example, it is not as easily accessible. The difference is like keeping your pen holder on your desk versus keeping your pen holder in the garage. It's still accessible, but it's a lot harder to get to. It's good to keep money in a savings account, but it can get to the point where too much money will actually hurt you. The amount of money in a savings is sometimes called a rainy day fund. The idea is that you want more money in case of emergencies. When something happens that you don't expect and you need money, that's what this account is for. Losing your job, unexpected expenses, etc. That is why you don't want to touch this money as much as possible. Ideally, you keep 3 to 6 months of living expenses in this account. 3 months if you're single, no dependents, have several sources of income, or you're married and have 2 incomes. You want to be closer to 6 months if you have a single source of income and multiple dependents. So why should we worry about having too much in a savings account? Well, that is because of something called inflation. So you've probably heard that word a lot recently. Well, what the heck is that anyway? The easiest way to think about inflation is the purchasing power of your money declines. Let's try something that will give you an idea of how it works. Grab 2 different glasses and a pitcher of water. Then you fill the smallest with water. This is like if you put all your money into savings and you leave it there. Well, the next size glass is the cost of goods in 10 years. If you pour all the water in the small cup into the larger glass, it barely fills the cup, not even halfway. This is what happens if you leave too much money in the savings. It just doesn't cover what it needs to. Now try this again, but this time, fill the smaller glass twice and then pour them into the larger glass. This is what happens when your money grows. It compounds and gains interest, and then more easily fills the cost of goods. That's the idea of inflation. You don't want to keep too much money in savings. Otherwise, you won't be able to fill the next size glass if the cost of goods increase. So how do you build up a savings? The best way to do it is just like how you have your employer hold taxes for you. You withhold a certain percentage of each pay and have it go directly to your savings. The best way to do this is to set up a monthly draw from your checking to your savings. Thanks for watching. And remember, when you put money in your savings, the money's not gone, just out of sight. See you next time.
Static forward, they keep coming to me. Alright. And just more on the desk, right?